When marijuana becomes legal in exactly 5 weeks today, will people stop using their dealers and turn to the lawful side of retail? In tonight's Marijuana Files, we take a look at how legalization could impact organized crime in the black market.
Coke dealer might drive a Cadillac or a Ferrari. Weed dealers usually ride the bus.
Author Jerry Langton, who spent decades writing books on organized crime in Canada, says the mafia and big gangs like Hell's Angels haven't dealt much weed since the 1970s or 80s.
There's no real profit in it. It's big, it's bulky, it's easy to detect, it's all over the place. A lot of Canadians believe that, there's this like massive wave of weed coming in from overseas. But it's not true. Canada is actually a net exporter of weed. We have too much. The #1 supplier, according to the UN crime database, of weed to both Australia and Japan is Canada.
Langton says the big guys will continue exporting pot to other countries, business as usual. But for the smaller gangs in cities pushing weed on our streets, that revenue stream will likely take a big hit.
It's so small time that the big guys don't matter. But at the lower end, it's their bread and butter.
Is it even going to be worth them trying to deal or push marijuana, or will they move on to more lucrative drugs?
There's always a million things they can do. There's prostitution, illegal gambling, strong arm tactics, extortion, kickbacks, dealing prescription drugs, dealing cocaine, dealing meth, dealing steroids is a big one.
Canada likely won't see a boom to black market bud the way they're seeing in Colorado. Even though there are hundreds of recreational pot stores in that state, criminal organizations are now growing weed, smuggling their crops into states where it's still illegal, and selling it for big profits. Langton says criminal organizations here are much more interested in pushing opioids.
I'm glad you brought up prescription pills because they're the big thing right now with organized crime at all levels.
York Region has sprawling farmland and is a hot spot for grow ops. Recently, police there made a $6.5 million bust. Even though the growers had Health Canada permits, police claim they had a couple thousand more plants than were permitted. Police tell City News illegal pot growers are making fewer attempts to hide these grow ops as we shift towards legalization. Do you think people will leave their dealers to buy legal weed? There might be a big difference in price.
You might not remember Napster, which was the first digital music service, and it was free. It was absolutely free. It was safe, and everybody used it. And then Apple came out with iTunes, and they charged 99 cents for a song. Napster died. Everybody wanted to do it the legal way.
According to Stats Canada, we purchased nearly $6 billion in weed last year, and 90% of that was illegal. Langton says there will still be a black market for pot, but a much smaller one. In Toronto, Shauna Hunt, City News.
Are you ready for this?
The Marijuana Files. Coverage continues daily on City News.